Hello, everybody. Welcome to the GM Sports Report, your weekly podcast on all things sports where every play counts. I'm Grant, and I'm here with my co host Mason as we get ready to cover the latest news, headlines, and upcoming events going on in the sports world. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to see all things GM Sports Report. Mason, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, Grant. How are you?
Doing pretty good, man. Just coming off a pretty good trip, the two of us to New York. Watched the Giants Eagles game. I know it wasn't the outcome you were looking for, but it was a fun trip
It was,
nonetheless.
it was probably the worst part of the trip, to be honest. The main
It's
reason why we're there. But yeah, we had a great time. Sadly, we weren't able to do anything that we wanted to do as far as like interviews and handing out business cards. But other than that, just had a great time.
Yep. So we're gonna start out with the hot take of the week. That's what we do every week. So Mason, what is your hottest take right now?
Okay. So this one, I got a little anger out. I said that other than the Phillies, no Philadelphia team will make the playoffs this year, not even the 76ers. So, I know, big stuff, but I think
You don't
they're
think
already
the
starting to fall
76ers
apart.
are gonna make it at all?
No, they're already falling apart. Embiid is, he's Embiid, but Paul George, cool, we got Paul George, whatever, man. Y'all gonna do nothing. And then,
Um,
what's up?
so you actually don't think that the Sixers are gonna make the playoffs at all? I just want to make like
Mm-mm.
at all, like not even like a play-in tournament or anything.
I don't know, man. No. You know what? No, I don't think they will. Watch. Book
Okay,
it.
all right.
And
Well,
then the
it's a hot take,
Eagles,
I guess.
yep. And then the Eagles, they're gonna fall apart once they play a real team, as they always do. So Jalen Hurts, we saw it firsthand. The only thing he did was tush push his way into the end zone 2 times. Yeah, he had a good throw to AJ Brown on the sideline, but cool. That was about it. So Philly won't make the playoffs. None of them.
Uh, okay. Yeah, I'd say that's a hot take. Um,
Mhm.
My hot take of the week, since basketball is starting tonight, I have to go with my Miami Heat. My hot take is that the Miami Heat will finish in the top 5 in the East this year. Um, a lot of people are just counting us out like they always do every single year. You know, they're saying we're a playing team again, but look, this team is healthy now. We got a lot of depth on this team. Our 10th man is like Alec Burks. I think I've said this before. Like, we have a ton of depth. Um, the mindsets from every player right now is very impressive and encouraging to see. Tyler Hero looks a lot more matured. Jimmy Butler going into his contract year looks very determined. Bam looks like he's ready to make another big leap. Terry Rozier looks like he's ready to make a big leap on this team. So there's a lot of excited things. And one of the most excited things was their preseason success. You can tell they've completely reorganized their offense. We're going to be taking a lot more threes, a lot less mid ranges, which was the huge thing. And I think they're going to be very successful. We've been running a lot of 5-out Bam shooting threes now. So, yeah, that's my hot take. I think that the Miami Heat will finish top 5 in the East this year.
I like it.
Yep, I had to do something basketball related since it started
I
again
know. I
today.
know.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
I can't
So
wait to be portrayed as the villain. I can't wait.
here we go.
Let the TikToks come.
um all right, so next what we're gonna do is head into our underdogs of the week. Another thing we like to do, just point out one of like a player, an athlete, a team that doesn't usually get talked about a lot. So Mason, who is your underdog of the week?
So it's kind of more performance based on what they did and their, I guess their um point in the game of what happened. So it was game 3. I'll have to give it to, I think his name is John Kenzie. Is that how you say it? Noel, or what people
Yeah,
call him, Big
Mackenzie
Christmas.
Noel.
He absolutely delivered game 3, and like it gave Cleveland fans like a lot of hope, and I'll tell you what, it had me absolutely like upset in a Cracker Barrel. So I fell to my
Cracker
knees in a
Barrel.
Cracker Barrel. And then David Fry, he ended the game, and that was just, oh man, yeah, it was rough, but I'm able to kind of talk about it because can't made it out alive. But yeah, those are my 2 underdogs of the week, and they just absolutely delivered when they needed them to. Gave Cleveland fans hope. So yeah.
I like it. My underdog of the week is going to go to the running back two of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Tank Bigsby. He had
Mm,
28 carries for 118 yards, 2 touchdowns in the 32-16 win over New England. Now, Tank Bigsby has been getting more and more carries each week, and I think you're going to start seeing a lot more of him and a lot less of Etienne. Etienne's just not looking that good this year, so I think that Tank Bigsby is going to start slowly making his way to being the running back one for this team, and he's looked very impressive so far.
yeah.
All right. So next, we're going to head straight into the NFL news. We're going to start with our game prediction update. This is where we're on Instagram and TikTok at GM Sports Report. We give game predictions every single week for every game. And right now, my
Mhm.
record is at 69-38. Your record is at 66-41. So still very close. This past week, I
Dang.
was 10-5, and you were 11-4. So you did one game better than me this week. Yeah, it's pretty close. So make sure you guys tune in for that every week on Thursdays. We post it. It's just a fun little thing we do. Yeah, it's very close right now. So we'll see how it goes from
Mhm.
here on out. Okay, next thing I want to head into is the injuries that are going on in the NFL right now. Unfortunately, there has been a lot of big injuries. We'll start with the positive. Tua is returning this week, but other than that, it's a lot of negatives from here on out. Brandon Ayuk is out for the season. Debo Samuel left the game injured. Jaden Daniels left his game injured. DK Metcalf is now week to week. Deshaun Watson is out for the season. Mike Evans got injured last night, and of the one that hurt me the most was seeing Chris Godwin go down, and he's probably most likely out for the
Mhm.
season. Uh, Mason, I just want to get your opinion on all of these injuries right now. What's your thoughts on them?
I mean, as a athlete myself, it's painful to see, and um, one of the worst things I think I saw of this week, other than the Chris Godwin injury last night, Monday night, was it doesn't matter who you are or who you root for and who your quarterback is. I think Jameis Winston said it best in his clip is when the fans were booing Deshaun Watson as he left off of a pretty much severe injury, probably season ending. It's horrible to see it, and as a fan, there's nobody on any of my teams that I could say I'd boo if they went down, and I know they're in a different situation, but still, it's just they're players, they're people, and they got to provide for their family. They have families, so it's hard to see that, and yeah, that's the really biggest thing I kind of wanted to get into. But yeah, there's a lot going on.
Yeah, it really does stink to see all these injuries that have been going on.
Hmm.
Ayuk just getting that big contract, and now he's going to be missing the rest of the year. That just stinks to see. Watson, starting quarterback, not going to be able to play. Chris Godwin, that one hurt me a lot because there's 45 seconds left in the game, and they were not winning that game. There was no reason for him to be out
Hmm.
there. So seeing that happen, that's the second time that's happened when, like, what happened with Aiden Hutchinson when they were up
Yep.
big. He did not need to be out in the game. Like, coaches need to learn from this. You need to take your players out when the game is already decided. You can't risk like a star player getting injured. So it just stinks to see. I do want to touch on Tua returning because a
Yeah.
lot of people are already talking about that, how he said he's not wearing the Guardian cap. And
Hmm.
I will
Yep.
say, as a Dolphins fan, I'm a little upset that he's not going to be wearing the Guardian cap. But at the end of the day, he's talked to the professional medical staff. He's talked to his family. He's had talks with himself, I'm sure, and he seems like he's good to go. And who are we to say, oh, you can't do that or you need to wear a Guardian cap? It's
Right.
his decision at the end of the day. But I am very interested as to why he's not choosing to wear the Guardian cap. But I just hope that he can stay healthy and Dolphins can have a good rest of their season from here on out.
Hmm.
All right. So next thing we're gonna do is something we did last week. We're just gonna point out what our game of the week was, just whatever we thought was the best game last week in the NFL. Mason, what is your game of the week?
Well, I hope we didn't pick the same game of the week, but I'm sure we did. Um, the Lions versus Vikings, something that should have been, in my opinion, a primetime game. Lions coming out over the Vikings 31-29. Jared Goff had another amazing performance. 22 for 25, 280 yards and 2 touchdowns, no turnovers. Jameer Gibbs, 15 rushes, 116 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then Amon-Ra St. Brown, 8 receptions, 112 yards and a touchdown. So, Yeah, I mean, I'll just touch up on the Detroit side of that if you wanted to touch up on the Viking side. Um, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Look, yeah, that was also my game of the week. I think Aaron
yeah,
Jones had about 100 something yards for touchdown. Darnold continuing to impress everyone with his passing
yeah,
game. Justin Jefferson with another big touchdown, looking like he's one of the best wide receivers this year. As we
hmm,
all expected, obviously, that's not a surprise to
right,
anyone. But yeah, I think overall this game just kind of decided who the king of the NFC North is. So it kind of just proved that it
yes,
was the
yeah,
Lions. So yeah, I think that was the game of the week. I wish it was prime time so you and me could have watched it because we were at
I
the
know.
Giants Eagles game as everyone knows. So yeah, that's my game of the week. So speaking of that, we're gonna head now into our 3 takeaways from Week 8 of the NFL. So Mason, go ahead.
Yep. So going straight into that, I'll have to say that Jared Goff is my MVP frontrunner right now. He has
Fair enough.
1,600 yards, 10 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. So he's just been absolutely dialed, and it's amazing to see. And the Jets adding Devontae Adams did exactly what we all thought was going to happen, and it was absolutely nothing. I think they're 2-5 now, and it doesn't help the fact that they have other needs that we've talked about so many times throughout these last two podcasts with it. Um, and it's just, I don't know. It's cool to see that they're together, but it doesn't do anything at the end of the day. And then my third takeaway is that CJ Stroud looked very rough. He went 10 for 21, 86 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Joe Mixon kind of had to pull that team back into the game. So it's just, I think he came out with 2 touchdowns and like 116 yards. So um, they did end up losing to the Packers, but with quarterback play like that, you can't really, you know, expect a win off of that. So yeah.
Yeah, those are all 3 really good takeaways. My first takeaway is, since I said it was the game of the week, put in that the Lions are the best team in the NFC and quite
Hmm.
possibly the NFL as well, in my opinion. I just think they're so
Yep.
complete. They just look like a team that their chemistry is amazing. They're clicking on all cylinders right now. So I just really think they're the team to beat right now in the NFL. My second
Hmm.
takeaway, very similar to yours, Devontae Adams does not move the needle for the Jets. Look, I don't know, like, why as fans, like, fans can point it out, but for whatever reason, like, an owner of a team can't like figure it out. Getting another wide receiver isn't going to fix the problems you have. I mean, look at how bad your defense was against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, Russell Wilson did not have that good of a game, and then they made Najee Harris look like he was prime Marshawn Lynch. And I'm not knocking
Right.
Najee Harris; he's had a great year, but the run defense has just been terrible for the Jets right now. And a star wide receiver is not going to fix the problems with your O line. It's not going to fix the problems with your defense. It's not going to fix the problems with some of your guys getting injured and banged up. It's not going to move the needle for them, in my opinion.
Right.
My third takeaway is the 49ers injuries are starting to implode their season.
Mm.
You look at their list of injuries right now, and it's just very unfortunate to see. Obviously, Ayuk last week going out for the season. McCaffrey looks like he's not coming back anytime soon. We got a Debo
Nope.
Samuel situation going on. We don't really have word on that right now. George Kittle's dealing with a foot injury. Talanoga
Hmm.
Hufunga, defender, is out right now. Greenlaw is still hurt from that Achilles tear that he had in the Super Bowl. And Juan Jennings has been dealing with a hip injury too. These are just a ton of injuries for players that like are pretty meaningful for their team. Obviously, McCaffrey and Ayuk, and then Debo and
Yeah. Yeah.
Kittle are very important for this team. So it stinks to see that these injuries are kind of imploding their season. They're just I don't know if they're going to be able to recover from some of these. Be interesting to see though.
No. Yeah. It'll be very interesting.
Yeah. All right, next we're going to head into the MLB as the World Series has been set. It is going to be what the MLB wanted, the Los Angeles Dodgers versus the New York Yankees, or if you ask how the MLB wants to call it, they want to call it Otani versus Judge. Mason, I'm just interested as a Yankees fan, who do you have winning the World Series this year?
Oh man. I have I think Yankees can pull it out in seven. I don't think there's gonna be a way. It's gonna be a dogfight either way. I do think that the Dodgers are just a powerhouse. But the Yankees, like, role players have just been surprising me. And if Judge can get back on track, he does have 2 home runs this postseason. But if he can get back on track while all the other players are just doing their thing, and if our pitching goes smooth, it could come out in 7. But if not that, then I would say Dodgers in 6. So my official prediction will be Yankees in 7, though.
Gotcha. Um, I also have this World Series going 7 games. But unfortunately, I'm picking the Los Angeles Dodgers to win it. I
Yeah,
just think there's more
it's either
experience
way.
on this team.
Yep.
Uh, they've had the more difficult path, in my opinion. I think beating the Padres is a pretty tough team to defeat, and then playing the Mets, who are probably the hottest team in the whole playoffs leading up to that series, they handled them pretty well. So yeah, I think I just can see the Dodgers winning in 7. I also think that they're just the more talented team, unfortunately. Otani, Freeman, Betts. You got some good pitching. That you got some good role players that have been stepping up. I just think that it's going to be very hard for the Yankees to win this series. I'm not saying it's impossible, and I
Yeah.
could see a
Yeah.
world where the Yankees win in 7. But my personal prediction is that the Dodgers will win in 7.
Hmm.
Now, speaking of this series coming up, I want to know what your key factors are for both teams if they want to win the World Series.
Um, I mean, it's going to be it's pitching. It all comes down to pitching.
That's
Um,
fair, yeah.
on both sides, there's absolutely amazing powerhouse hitters. Whether it's contact, just power, or consistency, it's going to come down to it. So if the bullpens can stay fresh and the starters can stay, just on fire or just clean, it's just that's the only thing I think these teams can do to win. Um, because the hitting is just phenomenal on both sides, and it's crazy to say that, but it is.
Yeah, that's really good take. I mean, they always say like pitching is what wins you championships, so
Hmm.
it's a good take. My key factors for the Yankees is that the offense just needs to stay hot. Judge has finally
Yeah.
been starting to slowly heat up, and obviously Stanton's been doing amazing. Gleyber Torres has been good. Soto
Yep.
obviously with the big home run in that last game. Yeah, they just need to stay hot, and the bullpen needs to be solid in this series. They cannot give up anything when it's time for the starting pitcher to come out and the bullpen comes in. They need to shut it down. And for the most part, the bullpen's been pretty good. So that's a good sign,
Yeah.
but that will be their key. For the Dodgers, their starting pitching needs to stay elite because their starting pitching has been very good, which a lot of people weren't expecting. And their offense needs to be consistent. Their offense has had ups and downs. If they can find a consistency, that's what's going to be the difference. So yeah, those are my keys for both teams going into the World Series.
Mm.
Now, since last name talking about the World Series, I do want to give some spotlight and some praise to both of the teams. Who is your MVP on both teams so far?
So for the Yankees, I think it's pretty clear. Other than the fact that Soto did have a huge home run, Giancarlo Stanton has been amazing. He's just delivered in pretty much any and every situation possible this postseason, and it's been very heartwarming to see after a rough regular season, battling injuries, hamstring, everything. So he's my MVP for the Yankees. And then for the Dodgers, I'd have to say Shohei off of one stat alone. And I think we were talking about it the other day. Is like I think he's 17 for 21 with runners and scoring on. Is it scoring positions or on
Right, score,
base?
yeah, scoring position. Yep.
That's oh my gosh! That stat alone like just blew my mind. So um, to have a guy to deliver in clutch situations like that, and it's just yeah, he's without a doubt my Dodgers MVP.
Yeah. My MVP for the Yankees is also Giancarlo Stanton. I mean, how can it be anyone else? He's been the difference maker for them. I believe it was
Yeah.
4 home runs in the championship series. Just incredible stuff. Always has been hot. And when the team needs a big play, he's making the big play. So got to give credit where credit's due. Stanton's the MVP for the Yankees so far. The Dodgers. Now, I had a feeling you were going to go Otani, so I want to give the role players some recognition
Mm,
because they have been holding it down when Mookie Betts and Shohei had been struggling. Specifically, Tommy Edman. I think he did win NLCS MVP. Actually, He's
Oh,
batting
dude.
345 right now in the postseason. He has 12 RBIs. He's playing some phenomenal defense. And look, that's exactly why they traded for him at the trade deadline, was to get a good contact hitter that can make some big hits every now and then. He's done just that. And I also want to give shout out to some of the other role players like Kike Hernandez, who's had some big plays and hits. Andy Pajes, who's had some big home runs, and Teoscar Hernandez, who seems to just always hit a home run when
Yeah.
it's needed most. So I think that those role players on the Dodgers have really been the unsung heroes for this Dodgers team, and they deserve
Right.
to get some recognition. So those are my MVPs, I guess you could say, for the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Very excited to see how this World Series shapes out. I think it's going to be really good. I did want to see a Subway Series, as I know you did too, but
Yeah.
looking forward to it. All right, so this weekend on Saturday, UFC 308 will be headlining. We have the main event being Max Holloway versus Ilia Topuria. This will be Saturday at Abu Dhabi. Um, we're just going to talk about two of the big fights, the co-main event and the main event, because just for the sake of time, we can't really break down every single fight. But these are two
Right.
pretty exciting fights, I think. I want to start with the co-main event. Who do you have winning between Kamzat and Robert Whittaker?
Ah, man. So I like Whitaker a lot. Just from what we've seen from Kamzat so far, has been insane. And I don't really see there being. He's just an all around fighter, just an all around, dominant force, I guess. He can strike, he can wrestle, he can pretty much anything. Robert, we've seen a lot from his standing game, so we'll see how it kind of goes out. But I do think Kamzat will take over the edge and come out with the win.
Yeah, I like Whitaker a lot as well. I think he's had some very impressive fights. But this
Yeah.
kind of just feels like one of those fights that's for Kamzat where it's like this is his like chance to get a
Yeah,
title shot after this fight. I feel like it's like a setup, like a stepping stone, so to speak.
for sure.
Um, I just see Kamzat winning. But one thing you can't take out of the equation is Whitaker's power. If Whitaker does land one clean
Right.
shot, that's all it takes. That can end the fight. But I just think Kamzat's going to win this fight, and it's going to ultimately be what leads him to a championship fight. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it though. I think it's two very good, exciting fighters.
Absolutely.
So it should be interesting to see. Speaking of exciting fighters, I want to just dive right into this main event between Max Holloway and Ilia Topuria. I have not been more excited for a fight in a long time. So Mason, I want to know,
Yeah.
who do you have winning this main event between the two of them?
You see, that seems like just a solid, straightforward kind of like question to ask, but then when you like really think about it, man, it was like it's like that. I don't know. It's just insane, but two absolute, just beasts at their sport. Ilia Topuria came off of an amazing knockout against Volk, coming off of that, and then Max Holloway, just one of the most electric knockouts we've seen against Justin Gaethje on that
Yeah.
buzzer beater for the BMF. So I think I think if they're just standing up, striking alone, I'll give it to Max Holloway. But if it's just all overall, I can see Ilya coming out with it, kind of winning by any means necessary, first title defense. So I do have Ilya winning just overall, but striking I do think Max will be better at.
Yeah. It's gonna be a crazy fight. I just want to
I
get that on
know.
the records. It really could go either way. I didn't
Hmm.
look up what the betting odds for this were, but I highly
Yeah.
doubt there's like a big underdog in this fight because both of them are just so talented, especially with their striking. Um,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go with Max Holloway though. I really am.
Okay.
Um, I just love the fight he's coming off of. Obviously, Topuria is coming off an amazing fight against Volkanovski,
Right.
but Holloway moved up in weight, and usually, as Chael Sonnen said, the lighter guy does not knock out the bigger guy that he moved up in weight for. And obviously, we all know how that happened against Gaethje, one of the most insane knockouts we've ever seen. And I think Holloway, just like he's hungry. I feel like he wants it really bad. He's had his
Right.
title chances before. He's had these like this experience of fighting like these kinds of fights. And I think he's going to be ready for his moment this time. And I think he's going to catch Topuria with a shot that Topuria is not going to recover from. and I have Holloway winning, but it will be a crazy fight, and it's not going to be easy at all by any means necessary for either fighter. Looking forward to it a lot, and it's going to be
Mm-hmm.
interesting to see what happens. But I do have Max Holloway winning.
Yeah.
All right, so next we're just going to go through a couple college football headlines. We're going to start with one of the big ones. Tennessee defeats Alabama 24-17, which was an upset. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that Alabama has been on a slow decline ever since Saban retired, and I think Alabama fans and college football fans in general don't want to see them be kind of not irrelevant, but not as dominant as they once were, which is very you know you can compare it to, I guess, the dynasty the Patriots had with like Brady and Bill Belichick and Gronk and all those guys. It's like, you know, you think that they'll just be able to hold it on and ride out that wave that they created, but at the end of the day, it's not Saban. It's not these guys that he had with Bryce Young and, you know, those kind of big impact players. So I don't think they'll ever be what they once were with Saban, and I think people are still holding out for that.
Yeah, I think that's a very good take. Alabama had started out like hot, they beat Georgia and they had some
Hmm.
big wins down the stretch, but like you said, they've been like rapidly declining since then, and it's been hard to watch. I do agree 100% with you about how it feels like that New England dynasty. It's like it's
Yeah.
starting to come to an end after Saban left and everything. Yeah, I like that take a lot. The next game we're going to talk about is that Georgia, who is ranked at number 5, defeats Texas, who is ranked number 1. Now Georgia won 30-15. What were your thoughts on that game?
Um, Texas just did not, come to play, in my opinion. We were kind of watching the game. What was it? Yeah, that Saturday night, and
Yeah.
Quinn Ewers, he did not play well. His numbers don't justify how bad he did play. Um, 25 for 43, 211 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. And mind you, that interception, I think the whole room could have seen it coming. The way that he just stared that receiver down, and the DB was just, oh, well, I'm going to get it before he even throws the ball. So it was just sloppy play. And then they ended up benching Ewers for Arch Manning, who didn't have a great game by any means at all either. But Georgia just came to play. Their defense was on something and just came out with a win.
Yeah, I think you pretty much touched on it all there. I agree
Yeah.
with you 100%, and that's all I pretty much got to say about it because I'm not as big into college football as you
Yeah.
are, so I'll
Yeah.
leave it at that. But I'll tell you what I am into. That's some NBA basketball. And as of
Mm.
the time of recording this, tonight is NBA tip off. We are back. The NBA season is coming back tonight. We're starting with some crazy games. I know you got your Knicks playing against the Boston Celtics. We like to do a season preview when every season is starting. So what we're going to do now is go into our NBA season preview. And what we're going to do is just start with a simple question. What teams do you think will be at the top 3 for each division or each conference? Sorry.
Okay, so for the East, I'm gonna go Boston, New York, and Milwaukee. I think Milwaukee will be able to get it figured out with Doc Rivers and you know kind of put all those pieces into play with Giannis and Dame and all those guys, Chris Middleton. So I do think they'll get it figured out in Boston and New York. Hopefully, New York can stay healthy. That's their biggest thing. They don't have the biggest depth with roster and all that, but the guys, if they do stay healthy, I think they can, solidify a good spot. And Boston, just Boston. So yeah, and then the West, I got OKC, Denver, and the Wolves. Now Denver, I do think that they'll kind of go back to their winning ways of the seasons prior to last season. I think it was kind of like a fluke of them not being as good as they once were. And Wolves are very exciting to see with Ant and Rudy Gobert is going to be interesting to see if he can take on the whole big man role without Cat. And then you have DiVincenzo and Julius Randle coming in from they want revenge. They want to show the league on what they can do. So and then OKC is just a young team and they'll be exciting to watch.
Yeah. I like those. My top 3 for the East, it pains me to say cuz like three of the biggest
I
Heat
know.
rivals, but I do have Celtics coming in first again. I have the Knicks coming in second again, or not again, but I have the Knicks coming in second.
Yeah.
And I do have the Philadelphia 76ers coming in third,
Oh,
despite
brother.
but look, I can see them
I
fall off. If
know.
they
I
don't
know.
stay healthy, they won't be there. But if they are healthy, you can't deny
Right.
the talent that's on that team. And it wasn't just Paul George that they made that they picked up. They also got
Yeah,
Caleb Martin, who's a good player. They got that guy from
that's
France in
true.
the Olympics that was playing really good. They've made some good moves. And if they do stay healthy, there's no denying that they're a top 3 team, in my opinion. But
Mhm.
if they aren't healthy, that's a whole
Right.
different topic. And it's already off to a rough start, as we know. At this time, Paul George and Joel Embiid are both going to miss their season opener. In the West, I have my top 3 being OKC Thunder in first place, Denver Nuggets in second place, and I'm going to give it to the Western Conference Finals champs, the Dallas Mavericks, for third place.
Okay.
Um, I think Thunder is probably the most exciting team out of the
Yeah.
age and everything like that. Their oldest player on their team is Alex Caruso, and he's 30 years old. That's just like absurd. They're just like talk about chemistry. They're kind of like the Detroit Lions of basketball, I'd say.
Yeah, yeah,
Just with
yeah.
like how good of a chemistry they have, how they're young. They got like a lot of guys that can do a lot of different things. The one thing that they need to figure out though is a consistent offense. I mean, obviously you have Shea, who's an MVP caliber player, but you need some consistent shooting out of guys like Lou Dort, and Jalen Williams needs another big year. Chet, it would be nice to see Chet make a big jump for them as he was good for them last year. That's who I have coming in first. Nuggets, like you said, I think they'll finish in second. I think that they're still one of the best teams in the West. I think that signing of Russell Westbrook was really good for a veteran leader to come off
Right.
the bench
Yep.
and help out that unit. And I do have the Mavericks coming in third place. Now, I will say 3 to like 6, it could all be interchanged
Yeah.
in the West because it's very close. But I am going to give the
Yep.
benefit of the doubt to Dallas. I do like that pickup of Klay Thompson, although Klay Thompson has struggled very badly in
Mhm.
preseason. I do think he'll figure it out, and they will come in third place in the West. All
Okay.
right. So next, what I want to do is talk about a sleeper team, just a team that we think is going to be better than what everyone's predicting them to be.
Okay.
East and West, by the way.
Okay. So East, they had a exciting season last year. And I do like their like star player a lot. I'm gonna go with Orlando. It was really cool to see what they did. Um, it's not too much of a oh wow, gonna take the biggest jump. I think it'll be fun to watch them as like more of like a underdog kind of team. Maybe can make a splash with what they got going on. I think Paulo is gonna be able to pick up a lot more of where he left off, and then his surrounding role players are gonna be able to help out a lot. And then for the West, I'm gonna go with the Spurs. Um, I'm interested to see what Wemby and Chris Paul will be like.
Mm.
Just two of the probably most diverse players when it comes to height, at least. And
Right.
when Wemby gets that lob from Chris Paul, it'll be all over social media, Sports Center and stuff. But it will be exciting to watch. So yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, just to touch on that Spurs take real quick. I got to give
Yeah.
credit when credit's due to the Spurs. That's just a phenomenal move to make to get that
Oh
kind of a
yeah.
veteran to develop Wemby even more. I mean, he already looked like a beast last year. I can't imagine what he's going to look like
Oh
now that
yeah.
he
I
has someone
know.
that like the whole problem that people were saying about Wemby last year is no one was feeding him the ball. So what do the Spurs do? They go and get one of the best passers of all time to go and feed him the ball. It's just going to work
Right.
miracles for them. I don't think they're going to be like a playoff team or anything like that, but I
No.
do
No.
think that
No.
they're going to overperform what they're projected as. And I think that this is a
Hmm.
huge thing for them to do for Wemby's development and stuff like that. So it will be very interesting to see. So I like that you put that. Um,
Hmm.
Now my sleeper team for the East that has to go with my hot take. I'm going to go with the Miami Heat. I think
Okay.
everyone sleeps on them every single year. You look throughout the national media, everyone has them around that 8 seed again as a playing team.
Right.
We didn't make any big changes, which to be fair, we didn't. But you know, this going into this preseason, the starting lineup that we're going to be running of Rozier, Hero, Jimmy, Jovic, and Bam, they had not played a single
Hmm.
game all together at once last year. So this is the first time we're really getting to see that starting lineup come out there and play. And I just think off of what I've seen from preseason, what I've been hearing from the local media, what I've been seeing in interviews from players, I love everything I'm hearing. Everyone looks ready to go. Everyone looks locked in. Everyone was left feeling sick to their stomachs that they were first round exits to the Boston Celtics, might I add. So they're going to be coming in with a vengeance this year. I think they're tired of hearing all the talk about Boston and New York and Sixers and Bucks, because you really look at the Heat's roster. There's a lot of talent on that team, and I think that they're the sleeper team in the East this year. Now, going out into the West, I'm going to pick a team that struggled a lot last year, but I think is going to really turn it around and be maybe a top 5 team even in the West. That's going to be the Memphis Grizzlies.
Mm,
John Morant's coming back fresh off of injury. Marcus Smart's going to be healthy again. They drafted Zach Edey, who's a pretty high prospect in the draft. Jaren Jackson Jr. looks like he might be missing the first couple games of the season, but he'll be back pretty soon. Look, last year, I'd say it's kind of a fluke year. Their whole starting lineup was pretty much hurt for most of the season. They had to go to guys like Gigi Jackson, who was like 19 years old in a G Leaguer, which he had
yeah.
played great, and he'll probably be a big piece for them this year too. But last year a lot of injuries happened. That's not going to happen every year, and I do see that this team can go far. I think they're a very talented team. I think John Morant's going to make a big jump this year. I think he's one of the most electric guards in the league. So I'm kind of excited to see what they have going for them, and I do think that they're a team that's being slept on right now. Now we're going to go to the opposite of that, and we're both going to pick a team that we think will underperform. This is just one team you think is going to underperform this season.
Okay. I kind of already said them, but I think the 76ers will. I know that they have talent over there and everything, but injuries are such a real thing, and seeing these injuries happen so like early on in the season with Paul George and Embiid, it's just we'll see how it can go, but to have to kind of really put a lot on the shoulders of Tyrese Maxey, we'll see if he can kind of take that first player kind of role, which he did show he can do that in the postseason last year. But we'll see. I think they will underperform, but like we said earlier, injuries is the biggest part of it.
Yeah. I think you're right as far as if they're not healthy, they're not going anywhere, and they will underperform. You're
Yeah,
absolutely right on that. That's like the whole thing with them. It just comes down to if they're healthy or
I
not at the
know.
end of the day.
Yeah.
So I agree with you there. The team I picked to underperform, I think, is going to be the Milwaukee Bucks. Um,
Okay.
I think that they have like a great team on paper. You're like, wow, they got Giannis, they got Dame, they got Middleton, they signed DeLon Wright, they signed Gary Trent Jr. They finally got some depth here and there. But you still look at that bench unit, and it's still not the best. Not a lot of depth
Yeah.
there. Their guys are old. Like their core is old. Chris Middleton is old. Giannis is starting to get
Yeah.
up there. He's not. He's still in his prime. Like let's not get that twisted. But Damian
Yeah.
Lillard,
Yeah. Yeah.
35, I believe, 36, something like that. He's getting up there too. The age, you don't have a health like a young team at all. Like they don't even have like rookies that are playable right now or anything like that. I don't even know who their youngest player is, and I'd bet that he's
No.
probably
Yeah.
like 25, 26 years old if he is their youngest player. It's age is a big thing in this league. I mean, look at the Thunder, for instance, who's so young, and that ultimately age helps with health and stuff
Mhm.
like that. So yeah, I do think the Bucks are going to underperform a little bit this year. Now, I want to talk about just like pick one player who you think is going to be a breakout player this year, someone that's going to catch the league by surprise and have a great year.
Okay. Um, I I kind of want it for this guy. And it is a little. I don't know if it's biased now or not, but I'm gonna say Dante DiVincenzo. I think he's just seeing red now after what happened in the preseason. I think he's just he was on fire. I mean, I think him in the Wolves you know lineup and just being around those guys will not only amplify his play, but just absolutely put it like on the map, I guess. And I think it'll be very interesting to see because everyone was so worried about the kind of boy band that was going to happen with Nova Nix, and then he kind of goes out, does his own thing now, and then see what happens. So I think he'll have a breakout year, and then it'll be like a whole kind of cool thing.
Yeah, I agree. I think he'll have a pretty good year this year, and will continue to improve off of what he did last year already, which was pretty impressive. So I like that
Right.
pick. My breakout player of the year, I'm going to go to the young guard out of the Brooklyn Nets, who is Cam Thomas.
Mm.
With Mikal Bridges leaving, that pretty much opens up
Oh
him being
yeah.
the number one option on offense now. And last year, he showed glimpses of being a really elite offensive player, like having 30, like back to back 30-point games, stuff like that. He can really light it up on the offensive side. And I think that now his role is going to be even bigger, and he's still young. And I think that you're gonna hear a lot about Cam Thomas because there's not a lot of other people on the Nets right now as far as like who can just score the ball at will. And I think he is one that's gonna do that. So I think he's gonna have a breakout year this year. And that's my prediction. Cam Thomas from the Brooklyn Nets. Last
Cool.
thing I want to talk about for the NBA going into the season. Which team are you most excited to see? Not your favorite team. So it can't be the
Okay.
Knicks.
Well, I feel like I haven't been talking about the Knicks too much today, so I'm not going to.
That's fair.
But I just like to throw it out there. But I am excited to see what Cleveland can do. Um, Donovan Mitchell, straight off of I believe he just got a contract this season.
Yep.
Um, and then just seeing kind of how all those pieces form up. You don't really hear too much about them in the off season. And just I think it's something that you're not going to hear like that you already don't hear much about, and then they'll kind of just come out of nowhere and get into the playoffs again. But I think they'll be a much higher seed if they can kind of just get everything together. But I am excited to watch them.
Nice. Yeah, they're a solid team. Hurts me that Donovan Mitchell re-signed with them, but that's a topic for a different
Yeah.
day. I have two teams that I'm most excited to see. They're both in the West. I'll never give credit to any team in the East as a Heat fan. Just throwing that out
Mm-hmm.
there. Um, I'm most excited to see Oklahoma City play. Obviously, I think they're just electric and fun to watch. And then another team, it's mainly for kind of just one player, but also I think they'll be a good team, is the Minnesota Timberwolves. I'm just ready to see Anthony Edwards like take over the league this
Yeah.
year. I love him. I think he's one of the most exciting players. Just must see TV every time he plays. So yeah, the Minnesota Timberwolves are my other team I'm most excited to see. So yeah, that's pretty much all we have to talk about the NBA and our show in general. It's been a pretty good episode. We're both pretty tired because we just got back last night from our trip. So sorry if we sound tired or anything like that. But thank you guys for tuning in to this week's episode of the GM Sports Report, where every play counts. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to be able to see our weekly episodes on all things sports. For additional content, check the description to see links to our Instagram and TikTok account. This is Grant and Mason signing off for now. Have a great week, everybody.
Thank you guys.